Welcome, dear alien students. You have officially been selected to study the most unpredictable, illogical, and downright absurd species in the galaxy, humans. We are confused in advance. The Galactic Federation calls Earth mostly harmless. That assessment could not be more incorrect. Every advanced civilization that has encountered Earth left behind a message. Every message says the same thing. Do not approach. Do not investigate. We learn too late. Yet here you are, eager to learn. Congratulations. You are about to witness a species that figured out space travel before proper food preservation, built nuclear weapons before seatbelts, and invented an entire economy based on imaginary numbers. Before we begin your training, let's get one thing straight. You are not prepared. No one ever is. First, understand that humans are a walking contradiction. They are fragile, yet somehow unkillable. They fear harmless things but willingly do the most reckless, life-threatening activities for fun. They make decisions that defy every known law of logic, yet their species continues to advance. They are the only known creatures in the galaxy that can be both the most dangerous and the most absurd, often at the same time. You will see them risking their lives for the thrill of it. They call it extreme sports. Skydiving, free climbing, running towards deadly storms just to see what happens. No claws, no armor, just a strong desire to experience danger and then tell stories about it. But that's just the beginning. Humans do not rest when it makes sense. They rest when it is socially acceptable. They are the only known species that will purposely deprive themselves of sleep for entertainment, then consume artificial energy to make up for it, while simultaneously complaining about exhaustion. You may be wondering if they are a highly logical species, one that follows reason and order. That is a mistake. Humans do not follow logic. They follow instinct, emotion, and impulse. Their social interactions are a puzzle that even the most advanced artificial intelligences have failed to decode. They communicate in riddles, sarcasm, and indirect statements. Their words often mean the exact opposite of what they are saying. Let's do it sometime means they never want to do it. That's interesting means they are either amazed or completely uninterested. Fine means something is not fine. And worst of all, a simple message saying okay can trigger an existential crisis. They operate in a society of controlled chaos, bound together by rules that they break constantly. Their technology is advanced, yet they still struggle with basic inconveniences. They have landed on the moon, yet panic when their Wi-Fi disconnects for 5 seconds. They are both highly intelligent and utterly ridiculous. Some civilizations assumed humans were weak because of their diplomatic nature. These civilizations are no longer with us. Humans do not seek war, but when they fight, they do not stop. They do not conquer planets, yet they have conquered survival itself. You are about to study a species that has no natural weapons yet created tools that made them the deadliest apex predators in the galaxy. A species that was never meant to be the dominant life form, yet now explores the stars. Before this briefing is over, remember one thing. Every alien civilization that has tried to understand humans has failed. Every attempt to predict their behavior has ended in frustration. You are here to observe, not to interfere. Do not try to introduce logic. Do not attempt to fix their systems. Do not question why they are the way they are. Earth is not a planet to be understood. It is a planet to be survived. Welcome to humanity. Good luck. You are going to need it. Let's talk about the most bizarre product of evolution the universe has ever seen. Humans. By all logic, they should not have survived. They are weak, slow, and poorly equipped. No natural armor. No claws. Terrible night vision. Their bodies are fragile, prone to breaking, and constantly failing in ways that make no sense. And yet, here they are, thriving, spreading across the galaxy. Every known species has some kind of evolutionary advantage. Strength, speed, camouflage, venom, regeneration, something that makes survival logical. Humans, they just refuse to die. You can drop them in the hottest deserts or the coldest wastelands, and they'll figure out a way to live there. Their bodies barely function, yet they will push through starvation, exhaustion, injury, and extreme conditions simply because they decided to keep going. Pain is not a warning to stop, it's just an obstacle to ignore. Break a bone, they wrap it up and keep moving. Lose a limb, they replace it with a machine. Get sick, they keep working anyway. Humans will actively put themselves in dangerous situations just to see if they can survive them. They call it adventure. Climbing mountains where the air is too thin to breathe. Diving into the deepest parts of the ocean where the pressure can crush them. Running towards natural disasters because they want cool footage. They invent sports where the entire objective is to throw their bodies at high speeds towards the ground, avoid death at the last second, and then celebrate. They don't just survive chaos, they create it for fun. But it gets worse. Humans are the only species that willingly deprives themselves of sleep. No other creature will ignore their own biological needs on purpose. They stay awake for entertainment. They consume chemicals to force themselves to function after destroying their sleep cycles. Then they complain about exhaustion as if it wasn't their own fault. They are also the only species that actively increases their stress levels for no reason. They will create unnecessary deadlines, pile on responsibilities, and then wonder why they feel overwhelmed. Other species operate on pure instinct. When they're tired, they sleep. When they're hungry, they eat. When they're in danger, they run. Humans? They do the opposite. They stay awake when exhausted. They eat when they aren't hungry, and starve when food is available. They walk toward danger because they are curious. They are biologically chaotic, and somehow it works. Their pain tolerance is borderline supernatural. You can tell a human, "That will kill you," and they will respond, "But what if it doesn't?" and then test it. They will punch each other for fun. They will eat food so spicy it triggers physical pain and call it a challenge. They will ignore safety warnings just to see what happens. Every species that has tried to understand human survival instincts has failed. Because humans don't have survival instincts. They survive in spite of their instincts. The universe never meant for them to exist like this. They were supposed to be prey, yet they became apex predators. They were supposed to stay on one planet, yet they conquered space. Logic says humans should not be here, but humans never cared about logic. If you thought human biology was strange, just wait until you see how they run their societies. Human civilization is a paradox. It operates under the illusion of order while thriving in complete chaos. They have rules, but they break them constantly. They create systems, then immediately complain about how broken they are, and somehow it all keeps running. Let's start with language. Galactic linguists have tried to understand human communication, and every single one has either given up or gone insane. Their most widely spoken language, English, is not a language. It is a trap. It follows no consistent rules. Words are pronounced differently based on nothing but human instinct. The word kernel is pronounced kernel. The past tense of red is also red, but you say it differently. Lead and lead are spelled the same, but mean completely different things. And then there are silent letters. Humans have letters they do not pronounce, but they still keep them in their writing for no reason. If that wasn't bad enough, they don't even say what they mean. When a human says, "We should hang out sometime," that does not mean they intend to. If they say, "That's interesting," it might mean they are fascinated, or it might mean they are mentally leaving the conversation. And if you ever hear a human say, "I'm fine," you should assume the exact opposite. Human communication is a battlefield of sarcasm, understatement, and passive aggression. Their words rarely match their intent, and yet other humans somehow understand this. But it gets worse. Their economy should not exist. Money, as humans define it, is not real. It is an entirely fictional concept, based on numbers that they have agreed have value. They trade imaginary currency for imaginary goods. They invest in things that do not physically exist. They work for credits they will never actually see, and then trade those credits for things they often do not need. And yet, despite all of this, the system somehow functions. Even stranger, most humans owe more money than they will ever earn, and this is considered normal. Entire industries exist solely to lend people more imaginary money so they can survive in a system that makes no logical sense. Then there's cryptocurrency, a financial concept so abstract that even humans don't fully understand it. Their entire economic system should have collapsed centuries ago, yet it hasn't. Somehow, they keep going. And then there's work culture. Most species work as needed for survival. Humans, however, have convinced themselves that non-stop labor is a moral obligation. They will wake up before sunrise, work for most of their waking hours, then return home exhausted, only to repeat the process every day for decades. They call this being productive. And what are they working for? In most cases, they are not even sure. They work to afford things they rarely have time to enjoy. They spend years striving for stability, only to discover that true stability never actually comes. Other species rest when tired. Humans, they actively deprive themselves of sleep. They have the technology to automate work, yet they insist on keeping people employed out of principle. They view constant exhaustion as a sign of success. They take pride in overworking themselves to the brink of collapse. They celebrate those who achieve wealth, even when that wealth is unattainable for the majority. They call this hustle culture. And despite all of this, they still find time for entertainment. Humans consume more fictional content than any other species. They create entire industries dedicated to telling made-up stories, filming them, animating them, and turning them into games. They engage in activities purely for the experience, regardless of practical value. They watch movies about things that have not happened and will likely never happen, and yet they feel real emotions about them. They willingly scare themselves for fun, seeking out horror experiences even though their survival instincts should tell them to avoid danger. They have hobbies that serve no purpose other than enjoyment. They collect objects they will never use. They create art for no functional reason. And perhaps strangest of all, they laugh at their own suffering. They make jokes about the struggles they endure. They turn their own failures into comedy. They have entire internet communities dedicated to mocking the absurdity of their existence. In any other species, this would be seen as madness. For humans, it's just another Tuesday. No other civilization in the galaxy has survived under such a chaotic and illogical system, and yet, somehow, it works. Earth is a planet of contradictions. Its people thrive in self-imposed struggles. They push forward despite the overwhelming odds against them. They should not function, but they do. And that is perhaps the most terrifying thing about them. The internet was supposed to be a tool for knowledge, a vast digital library where humans could store and access the sum of their species' intelligence. Instead, it became something else entirely. If you want to understand humans, you must understand their internet. And if you want to understand their internet, you must accept that it is not a logical system. Every other advanced species uses their networks for efficiency data exchange, research, interstellar communication. Humans, they turned theirs into a chaotic, uncontrollable force of nature. It started as a tool. Now it is an ecosystem. A self-sustaining, ever-expanding digital universe where logic does not apply. It consumes time at an alarming rate. Humans will sit down to quickly check something, and before they realize it, 6 hours have vanished. No memory of how it happened, just an endless spiral of distractions leading nowhere. Entire communities exist based on nothing but shared nonsense. Arguments rage over the most meaningless details, lasting decades. There are documented cases of humans dedicating their lives to proving minor, insignificant points just for the satisfaction of being right. But that is only the beginning. The human internet is the only known system that destroys advanced AI. One highly intelligent machine species once attempted to integrate with Earth's digital network. They believed that their superior processing power could extract knowledge instantly, surpassing human intelligence overnight. They lasted 3.7 microseconds. Their final transmission? Their internet cannot be this bad by accident. It must be intentional. It is filled with misinformation, conflicting data, and deliberate nonsense. It is not a knowledge system. It is a survival test. And yet, somehow, it works. Within this madness, humans created their most powerful weapon, memes. At first, other civilizations dismissed memes as insignificant. They were simple images, jokes, inside references. Harmless. Then the spread began. Memes bypass language barriers. They travel faster than official communications. They become ingrained in culture within hours. Humans use them to communicate complex emotions in seconds. A single image can carry decades of meaning. A phrase can represent an entire worldview. It is the purest form of information transfer, condensed, efficient, and designed to spread. Some species tried to resist memes. They failed. Entire alien languages have been permanently altered by exposure to human internet culture. Galactic diplomats have reported that some phrases simply cannot be removed once introduced. And memes are not the only threat. Humans produce incomprehensible amounts of digital content. Every second, more videos, text, and images are uploaded than can ever be processed. There is no end to it. If you attempt to track it, it will overwhelm you. If you try to filter it, it will outpace you. It cannot be categorized, contained, or fully understood. Humans themselves do not control it. It evolves independently. New trends appear and disappear before anyone can fully analyze them. Entire movements rise and fall in days. The digital landscape shifts so quickly that even its creators struggle to predict what will happen next. And yet, through all of this, one thing remains true. The internet keeps them contained. Without it, humans would likely be the most feared conquerors in the universe. Their need for stimulation, their obsession with curiosity, their refusal to accept boredom, all of it would drive them outward, expanding into the stars at an unstoppable rate. But they are distracted. The internet absorbs their chaos. It gives them infinite information, infinite conflict, infinite entertainment. As long as they have their screens, they remain occupied. If the human internet ever goes offline, there is no predicting what they will do. And that is a risk no one is willing to take. For centuries, the galaxy assumed that humans were guarding something. The warnings were always the same. Do not approach Earth. Do not interfere. Do not ask questions. Most believed Earth was home to some great cosmic horror, an ancient force so terrible that humans had been tasked with keeping it contained. A rational theory until researchers looked deeper. There is no hidden horror on Earth, no secret weapon, no ancient god sealed beneath its surface. Because Earth itself is the anomaly. The more data the galaxy gathers, the clearer it becomes. Earth does not obey the same rules as the rest of the universe. Space is supposed to be consistent. Physics follows laws. Reality is predictable. Except on Earth. Here, the laws of nature bend, warp, and occasionally break entirely. Time moves slightly differently than it should. The planet's gravitational field shifts in ways that cannot be explained. Entire sections of reality seem to glitch, creating events that should not be possible. Human scientists call them coincidences or quantum anomalies. The rest of the galaxy calls them proof that Earth is broken. History records entire civilizations attempting to correct Earth. Every single one failed. The Meridian Collective, known for their advanced mathematical models, attempted to optimize the planet's structure. They calculated the perfect climate, resource distribution, and energy balance. The result? They were erased from existence. No remains, no records. The only surviving message from their research states, Earth's errors are not errors, they are safeguards. The Proto-Zeta Collective believed that humans were simply lucky, that their survival was a statistical impossibility. They sent observation teams. All contact was lost within weeks. One researcher's final transmission contained only a single sentence, "Reality is watching." And then there's the Crystal Sphere Syndicate, the most advanced scientific minds in the galaxy. They sought to prove that human physics was simply incomplete. They sent their best minds to Earth. They ran experiments, analyzed its anomalies, and attempted to apply universal constants to its inconsistencies. After years of research, they left behind only one warning. We thought their physics was wrong. Turns out, our physics was wrong. Their physics is worse. Other species might have taken this as a sign to stay away. Humans? They adapted to it. They live on a planet where the rules of existence are unpredictable, and yet they act as if nothing is unusual. Perhaps that is the real reason Earth is dangerous, not because of what it contains, but because of what humans have become. They thrive in chaos. They do not expect stability. They have lived their entire existence in a reality that does not make sense, so they have learned to make sense of the impossible. No other species has this ability. The galaxy fears unknown forces, unexplained phenomena, anomalies in physics. Humans, they embrace them. A planet should not be able to sustain intelligent life under these conditions. Earth should have collapsed long ago, but it hasn't. Because humans are the only species that can survive a broken universe. And that is why Earth is not a place to be understood. It is a place to be avoided. Now, after everything you've learned about Earth and humanity, here's the most important question. What will you do with this knowledge? You came here expecting to study a strange, primitive species. What you found instead is a planet that shouldn't exist, filled with a species that refuses to follow the rules of the universe. You thought you'd find a simple culture, one you could catalogue and categorize. What you found is a cosmic wildcard. You've seen the warnings. You've watched the evidence stack up. You've witnessed how humans exist in a reality that makes no sense. You've seen how they bend the laws of nature and create chaos on a whim, and somehow they keep going. Now, you face a choice. Option 1. You could leave Earth alone. Go back to your home planet and tell the Federation that the warnings were true. The planet is a threat, and humanity is an enigma. Tell them that they are guarding nothing. They are the anomaly, a species that lives in a paradox, and that alone makes them dangerous. You could close the door on Earth and let the galaxy keep its distance. But here's the catch. Do you really want to ignore them? Humans are already looking up at the stars. They are already experimenting with technologies that challenge the known laws of physics. They are pushing the boundaries of everything they know, and soon they will be looking beyond their planet for more answers. Do you want to be the species that shut the door on them? Because they will find a way into the galactic community whether we're ready for them or not. Option 2. You could take the leap. You could accept the chaos. Understand this. Earth is not a place to be understood. It is a place to be experienced. Humanity has learned to survive in a world that doesn't make sense. They've adapted to the absurdity and made it their strength. If you stay, you'll need to learn to embrace the chaos with them. You will never get a clear answer to why they act the way they do. You will never fully understand why they defy the laws of physics or ignore basic survival instincts. But you'll learn that surviving Earth means surviving the impossible. And maybe, just maybe, that's the true lesson they offer the galaxy. You can join them in their madness and learn the art of thriving in the unpredictable, or you can walk away and watch as they take over the stars. But one thing is certain, you cannot ignore Earth. Not now, not ever. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to walk away from the greatest anomaly the universe has ever seen, or will you step into the chaos and experience humanity at its finest? The choice is yours. But remember this, Earth will continue on with or without you. And the real question is, do you want to be here when humanity finally figures out how to break the universe?